Hello.
Morning.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great.
That's good.
Great. Okay. Good. Good to see a good group here. Better admit some more people. There we go. That's good. Okay. So today in this lab, I want to quickly review some of the stuff we did last week, but then what I want to do is go through adding costs and resources to a schedule, because that'll be leading us later to controlling it, right? So I'm sure you did this last year too, but I think I'm just going to be methodical about going through it. And there's probably some things that I do a certain way that maybe you didn't get last year, especially because of the kind of breakup to things last year. All right, so let's see. I'm going to open up project. And then like usual, if you can follow along, whatever works best for you in that way, that's good. So let me just see. Why does it not come up? All right, let me see. Let's close this again. There it is. There we are. And participants. And can you guys see it okay? Microsoft project?
Yep.
Good, great.
Are we going off the same file as last week or a new one?
It's going to be it's going to be, going to do, well, for the practice, I'm going to just start with something different. For the actual lab assignment, I've uploaded a start point file. It's it's kind of the same as last week, but it's different. I had to make it somewhat different because really that's the answer for lab one. So I made a few little things different, but you don't have to do all the stuff to, you know what I mean, like to get to the new stuff on this lab. So this lab, you know, the start point file, you're pretty much just going to be then doing all the resource part that we add to it and the cost part.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, so you definitely don't want to use the file that you submitted as lab one, because it's different enough it'll mess you up. You want to use the one that I loaded that's got everything there.
All right.
I think the dates and stuff are different, and that would change the holidays and all that kind of stuff. But overall, it looks more or less the same. All right. So I'm just gonna, let's pretend we're gonna do I don't know, a bathroom renovation. So just for the heck of this, to be a little bit different than an office. And I'll actually call it a bathroom renovation. And maybe I'm just going to open something here. Let's see, do I got something here? Give me one sec to. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. No. Okay. There we go. Hmm. All right. It's okay. We'll do that. Okay. So we got bathroom renovation, and hopefully you can see that still. And so recall this about the manual schedule and the auto schedule. We want to have it auto scheduled. And I'm going to put pre-construction. I'm going to put, and I forgot to go down to the bottom. So I'm going to go down to the bottom and make all new tasks auto scheduled. So I'm just going to go down to the bottom left corner and go auto schedule. And just make sure nobody new's come in. Nope. Okay. And so then I'm going to go submit permits. And I'm going to go permit approved. And then I'm going to go construction. And then I'm going to go rip out existing bathroom. And then I'm going to say, when we rip out the existing bathroom, I'm going to say frame and fur out walls. Furring out walls is just like you're adding strapping, maybe because there was no insulation in the walls on the exterior wall. Maybe you're going to pull it out a little bit. Maybe you've got to frame a little bit around for the shower, that kind of thing, right? So that, and so then we'll go with that. We'll go rough in plumbing is probably the big one. Rough in HVAC. Rough in electrical. And then we're going to have inspections. Inspections approved. And then we're going to have, once that, we're going to have insulation. VB or AB slash VB. And we'll have install drywall, install shower surround, actually install subfloor, substrate. Then we'll basically, we will have, with that, we've got the drywall, we've got the subfloor, we've got that. So now we're going to look at starting to tape drywall. And we're going to install ceramic tile and grout. And then we will, once we have all of that, we'll install vanity. We will install trim. We will then paint and install shower door, install mirrors and extras. So it'd be like toilet paper holders, soap dishes, those types of things. And install toilet, basin, and shower controls. And then we'll do deficiencies. Clean up, finish. Okay. So we just ran off a bunch of activities, and I don't think they're necessarily in the right order right now. I got to take a look at that. But that's kind of how, that's kind of a bottom up, well, a little bit of a bottom up, top down approach. I did sort of get my headings in there. I didn't really classify them, but I have my headings placed in there. If I forgot, again, you know how to insert a heading, that sort of thing. I might start off by highlighting everything and indenting and sort of setting that up, but maybe I'll give people a second or two to catch up. Maybe I can fix up some of these spelling typos.
Sure.
Yep.
Are we using the template? Are we using the template that you gave us, or are we supposed to copy what you're doing on the screen right now?
I would copy what I'm doing on the screen right now. So that would probably be your best bet, because the lab 2 assignment is different.
Okay.
Yeah, the start point file I was mentioning earlier is just the start point file for the actual assignment. What I'm trying to do now is give you the stuff that you need to know to be able to do the assignment. So,
Okay.
and so with this, Kevin, like if yours isn't exactly like mine, it doesn't really matter as long as it's close, you know, and you're getting the idea for everything. That's the main thing with this part of it. So, you know, if yours adds up to a different days or a different cost, you know, it just means one of your activities, one of your cells is different. And it's kind of, you know, you're rushing it. So that's like, that's fine. It's just understanding how to do things. And the more that you input it, the more it resonates with you. And you know what, like if you really want to get this program down, I recommend that even if I give a lab assignment and you do it really quickly, do it a second time, like just for your own sake to really get used to the program. And then it becomes very easy for you after a while. It's kind of like playing the piano, right? The more you play, the better you get.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Kevin. I was going to save this. I usually like to save stuff because it'll crash on me partway through. So I'm just going to do a save as. I'll bring it back in a sec. I'll just save it to here. I always just let it go. Yeah, that's fine. Fine. Right over whatever's there. Okay. So I'm just going to start my work breakdown structure a little bit, and remember to highlight. You don't want to move stuff. If you let go and it shows the cross pattern, that's going to move stuff. So don't want to do that. I just highlighted everything below what I want to have for the heading. All right. And then I'm going to create the next level, which is making pre-construction a heading and making construction a heading. This is a very simple thing, so I'm not going to have too much in a work breakdown structure, unlike my example in the lecture where I had a lot of layers, where I kind of went through the work breakdown structure of a condominium building and how that might look, much more complex, but bathroom doesn't need that level of complexity. So I'm going to set up my predecessors. And so I'm just going to type in here number 3. And then just to get past that level, I'm going to type in rip out existing bathroom number 4. And I kind of said, try not to link to summary tasks. That's a best practice. Some people do, but it's really a best practice not to, just because it makes unnecessary links and it can confuse things a bit. Program lets you though. Okay, so next I'm going to highlight everything one after the other there, just to get going on this, make it a little bit quicker. And so I've just sort of linked through. And the reason that goes from 4 to 6 was because of this. So don't worry about that. That looks okay. It's following this process. But now this is a bathroom. You know what? Like when we think about scheduling efficiently, the last custom house I built was like in 2001. I did it was like about a 7,000 square foot house. And the bathroom was, I don't know, it was like a master bedroom. The bathroom was like huge, right? In that case, I could get away with scheduling like plumbing, electrical, even HVAC in some ways in the same bathroom because it was big, right? So I could have stuff going on at the same time. If you think of your typical bathroom in a house, you know, it's maybe you got a 5 or 6 foot tub. So that's the width of the bathroom. And it's maybe about 10 foot long. So it's like 5 foot by 10 foot. And if you're doing plumbing in there, there's not much room for anybody else to do stuff in that bathroom while the plumbing is going on. So that's something that you have to kind of think about in those cases. So, you know, this is if I was doing something that was like this huge, you know, 7, 8,000, 10,000 square foot house and the bathrooms like most people's master bedrooms, well, yeah, then I could have stuff go at the same time. I could have, for example, the HVAC and perhaps the electrical happening at the same time. So in that case, I could, and then that definitely has a dramatic impact of shortening my schedule substantially. Right now, everything's just showing a day, but that would be something I could do. So maybe for our purposes, just to get something that's a little bit, I want to make sure I got some things with float on this, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe that's, we'll assume it's a pretty big bathroom. How's that, right? But you got to be careful of that in reality. You've got the physical constraints of where you're doing the work, and it's called stacking the trades, where you have too much stuff going on at once. And then you know what? People just want to, you know, they get upset with each other because they're in their way and they can't do their work. And now they're wasting time and now it's costing them money. So as a project manager and a site super, you got to be very cognizant of where the line is. You've got this pressure you want to get in and you want to get out, and there is a cost. The longer you're there is a cost. On the other hand, if you have too many people there, it's a waste of labor because people are standing around because people are in their way. So you got to get the nuances of that, and the nuances change by project, by physical space, by resource availability, a whole bunch of factors. So that's part of what we have to think about. So let's start maybe before I get too far into the sequencing. That's what I kind of like. I can rough things out in a schedule, and then I can start thinking about it. Like, you know, this is a bathroom. Okay, it's going to take a month to get the permit. We'll put the permit approved as a milestone. Okay, I'm going to rip out the existing bathroom. 2 days. I'm going to frame and fur out the walls. 1 day. Rough in plumbing, you know, there could be other extraneous things that I got to do with the plumbing. I'm not really getting into that in this detail, but let's say it's 2 days. Even the HVAC could have some, normally it'd be very little to do, but maybe there are some extenuating circumstances with it. So maybe I'll make that 1 day though. I'll make the electrical maybe 2 days. I'll have the inspections. I'll allocate maybe 2 days to get the inspections all done. And then I'll have inspections approved as a milestone. Insulation should only take 1 day. Install drywall 1 day. Install a shower surround. Maybe you're using one of those fancy kind of substrates for the shower surround. So we'll put that down. Install subfloor and substrate. So I'll put maybe 1 day of playing around with that. Sometimes on older bathrooms, you know, you can get into a pile of work, to be honest. Like if it's in a real old house, sometimes the joists were actually pointed and they built it down and they put basically a dry pack concrete in between the joists and they built it up. And, you know, it can be take a couple of days in some cases just to putz around with that, some of that stuff. But maybe we'll do that. We'll make it a little bit more complicated there. Tape drywall. Okay, I'm going to allow 3 days for that. Actually, I'm going to allow 4 days for that. Install ceramic tile and grout. So we're going to allow 4 days for that. Install vanity. I'm going to say 1 day. Install trim. I'm going to say 1 day. Paint. I'm going to say that we can do that in 2 days. Right. Actually, let's say 3 days for that. Make a little bit difference there. Shower door 1 day. Mirrors 1 day. Toilet basin shower controls 1 day. deficiencies 2 days, cleanup 1 day, finish milestone. So I don't see any question marks here. So that means I put in durations for all of these. Everything under this heading is 31 working days, not calendar days, working days. Everything under this is 20 days. That means my project is going to take 51 working days from start to finish. So 51 working days from start to finish. That's what that's going to take right now. So, all right, that's fine. I'm going to shrink this so I can see it a little bit better. And how long? So 51 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'm just going to see how much it looks like if I shrink this. So I'm going to double click here. That brings up, if I double click along the time scale at the top, I can customize this. Usually, I don't usually do too much with this. I'm usually okay with kind of the standard stuff, but I usually shrink it when I'm looking at it very often, just so I can see more weeks. So I usually shrink it down to about 50, 55%. Kind of depends on your screen size and that sort of thing. On a laptop, usually around 55%. I find on my screen right now, I can go 50, but just that I can see more in this in one screen. And this is a small project, so I can see most of the project just by looking at this way. And I can see the days, which is kind of nice for this. Big project, I would probably just have gone down here and just shrunk it a little bit with the minus and plus stuff.
Sir,
Yes.
should the submit permits be 20 days?
So submit, and so maybe I could say submit and wait for permits.
Oh, okay, just checking.
Yeah, submit and wait permits. It's good, like, how descriptive are your activities? So the activities should be descriptive enough that you know what they mean and that anybody that's going to be reviewing it knows what they mean. So, if you're asking me, should it be that, maybe I'm not clear enough. And so then maybe I could make it a little bit clearer. And that's always a good practice. Because it really shouldn't be just, I know what it means, because if I'm using this as a tool for others, then they should be able to look at it and know what it means, right? So that's kind of that process. The other thing I could do with this, I could have, if I really wanted to be clear, I could say submit permits, and let's say I put 1 day, and then I could put like a lag of 19 days to the permit approved. And in that case, that would be helpful that way, right? And that makes a difference if you're loading costs on a schedule. So that's another way that I could do it. I might even show you breaking that out differently afterwards. Because then if I assign somebody to submit the permit and they're on a salary or something or an hourly rate, then at least it would only count a variable rate. It would only calculate the 1 day that they're putting it together and submitting it. It wouldn't count the 19 days that they're waiting for it, right? So you have to consider those types of things as well. All right, so we've got that. We've got these activities here, inspections. So I'm just going to put here 8, 9, 10, right? And I'm going to maybe maybe also install shower door and mirrors. So maybe I'm going to have an extras. Maybe I'm going to do that all at the same day. So I'm going to put that there, and then maybe here I'm going to do the next day. So I'm going to have 22, 23. All right. And don't worry if this switches around on yours or it doesn't switch around. As long as you got the right number there, that's all that matters. I find sometimes it switches, and I haven't been able to figure that out in the years that I've been using it, why sometimes it switches and sometimes it doesn't. So we've got that. And, I might want to look at this and say, install subfloor and substrate, install shower surround. install drywall. I might want to say, you know what? I want to change this. I want to move this. So I just grab it, right? Click and you hold, you grab it and you move it up. Maybe after the inspections are approved, I want to put this there and I want to change the link. So I want to change the link of this because really I want to fix the floor so we can stand on it so we can do the insulation and the air barrier. I probably have the floor open so that the inspector can see the drain, waste, vent, the floor and the walls open so they can see the drains, the waste and the vent system that the plumber installed and the water supplies, right? And so after the inspections are approved, I want to close it up so we can walk on it, we can work on it. So it makes better sense for me to do that. So I'm just going to change my predecessor there to 12, right? And so then I've got that there. And then I'm going to look down here. I got tape dry. I've got install shower surround. And then I've got tape drywall. I got install drywall. So yeah, probably I do want to tape the drywall after the surround is in because there's usually a joint that you go over to match up to. So the tape drywall there, but I'm going to put the predecessor to be 16. Now I see here that I've got what looks to be an open end, right? And what was the 3 ways that we check for open ends? What were the 3 ways that we check? I just did one. I looked at the Gantt chart. And I know it's an open end because if I make this 200 days instead of 2 days, it doesn't move anything, right? So I know that's an open end.
So the network diagram?
Network diagram is another way. So I would, slide to the left. And I think like Nick said last week, 2 fingers if it's on the touchpad, if it's a Mac. I just right click on my mouse and I go to network diagram. And I'm going to shrink it so that we can see more of it. And I'm going to let, I thought somebody just came in. Okay. So there, Vincent. Okay. So there, this, you see these parallelograms, those are headings. That's fine. I don't want to connect them to anything, but then I look along here. This looks good. This looks good. There it is. All right. And I should go through the whole project just to make sure. Yeah, it looks okay. Like everything is connected. So what do I want to connect this up to? This is install substrate. So that I'm going to connect up to the install drywall. So I'm going to put that over here. Now, what is it going at the same time? Actually, I don't like the way that's looking. I don't want these two. I want to get this base in, the insulation in first. And then actually, I want to get this in first, and then I want to get that in afterwards. So you know what? It's easier to fix it in the other screen than this screen. So I'm going to slide to the left, go to my Gantt chart, and I'm going to look at that. And I'm going to say, you know what? I don't really want those that way. I want install subfloor substrate to come after inspection. So that's good. But I'd like this to come after install substrate. So I'm going to put 13 there. And then, so I've got that there. Then I seem to have a double link. Like, so you see what's going on here? See how it's linked there? I've got a successor there and I got a successor here. Well, do I need that there? That would be the question because, I'm saying this gets done, then I do this, right? And I don't need to then say, and then after that, I do this, because then it gets ridiculous because I could do that all the way through. So I don't want to overlink things that doesn't make sense for me to do. So reality says that as a predecessor, I just want to have that insulation done. Then I can cover up the wall. So that's a better reality flowing in through there. And the truth of the matter is if I was going with a full permit with this, I would probably have to have another activity, which would be the inspection for the insulation and air vapor barrier. I'm not doing that right now, but just so you know, it's not like I'm not thinking about that. The reality is I would need to do that. Okay, so now that's looking better. So I did check the network, but I should, once I start changing stuff, I should still make sure that everything looks okay. So I went back and I checked the network diagram. And the third way that I said is to insert the successor column. So insert column, press S for successor, and then pick successors. And so this is a very short project, so I don't really need to filter this. I showed you how to filter it. Like I can see, the headings shouldn't have predecessors or successors, right? And the first activity shouldn't have a predecessor, and the last activity shouldn't have a successor. So that looks good to me that way, right? So that looks okay. Now, what I showed you last week, because your projects are going to get more complicated, right? So if I want to check, I should basically go to the successor columns, select all, click blank, and click OK. And so the only one that's missing it is the finish column, and that makes sense. And by the way, if I had a lot of a work breakdown structure like that one I showed you in the lecture this week, where there were all these different levels, if I wanted to filter those out, I can just go to View, or sorry, Format, and click on Summary Tasks. And then I get rid of the headings. They're not gone, they're just gone from View. I can bring them back, and now they're back, right? So I can do that pretty easily that way. I got to remember I filtered it. So to unfilter it, you click on what looks like a funnel, click select all. I want to see everything. Click OK. Now you see everything. And the reality is you should do that also for the predecessors. Select all, click blank, click OK. Right? And the only one that should have no predecessor is the first one. And again, I can get rid of the headings if I want by clicking on Summary Tasks. I can bring them back. And if I want to get rid of the filter, this is how I can do it. You'll find that as we go through the course, being able to filter data is very helpful for a lot of things, not just this. Being able to filter for specific information is very helpful. It's a powerful tool in scheduling programs, because scheduling programs are like databases. And that's the nice thing about databases. You have tons of information. How do I get at the stuff I want to know when I want to know it? So I'd like to see the critical path in the Gantt chart view. So I'm going to click critical tasks, and then that lights that up so I can see it. All right. So this is the only activity that has float here in this simple bathroom. If I slide to the left and I go to the square icon box, I call that the square icon box. If you right click on that, or two fingers, I guess, with a Mac, and you go down to schedule view, as I think I mentioned last week, this shows you where your float is. So you can see this has 1 day of float, 1 day of float. This, if you recall from last year, that was your forward pass when you calculated manually the critical path, early start, early finish. And this is the backward pass, late start, late finish. And all it's doing is it's looking at the difference between the late finish, right, and the early finish, which from a Friday to a Monday is 1 day, or the late start to the early start, Monday to a Friday, 1 day. It's the same, and it should be the same. So that is our total float. It does it for you, the forward pass, the backward pass. It's just that it uses a calendar to do that. Then you can find that under schedule. You could always insert this column in any view. You don't necessarily, because this stuff's not so important to you, but this is important. So you could always insert that in one of your other views if you wanted it there for some purpose to look at the float of some activities. Okay. And of course, reality is something like this. I can just see it. It's one day. There's from the Monday to there. So that means if I made this 2 days, it becomes critical too, right? Come 3 days, the other two become that they're got float. So that's just the way that works. So that's another nice thing I'm telling you too. We're talking about cost control in this course. You can experiment. You can do sensitivity, what we call a sensitivity analysis. How sensitive is this activity to change? What happens when it does? And not only that, when you do that, you can see some of the impacts on the overall project, and you can see impacts on variable costs if you've loaded variable costs on the schedule. Okay, and then last week, of course, we showed you how to put in a holiday. You go to project, change working time. You put in a holiday like under exceptions, like maybe family day as an example. So I'm not going to get into that too much, just quick reminder of that. And you click OK. All right. And of course, project start date. We want to change the project start date. We don't want it to be today's date. Maybe I'm going to make it February 8th. So instead of January 26th, I'm going to make it February 8th. So all I did was went to the project tab and click project information. What I don't want you to be doing is, getting into the habit of clicking here and putting in dates, right? So you click here and it's like, okay, move the task, remove the link. Tom says I should keep the link, move the task, keep the link. You're putting constraints on the schedule. So in this case, you put a constraint that said that this task has to start here. It can't start any earlier than there, right? Well, watch what happens when this shortens. If I shorten this, shortened everything but that, right? Because that can't move. You said it can't start any earlier when you pick that. That's putting a constraint on it. So you want to avoid constraints wherever possible. And you know what? Your scheduling life becomes easier because then when things move and change, it'll go with it. Otherwise, you get all these blockages. And also you see the critical path shuts off before here because it's saying, hey, you don't really have a critical path before this because this is fixed. So keep that in mind. It's okay. We can get rid of this pretty easily. Maybe I'm just going to do one. So there, I got that back to 20 days. Now I want to get rid of this constraint. So I just double click on the activity, brings up the task information box. I go to the advanced tab and constraint type, I say as soon as possible. So constraint type as soon as possible. I click OK, and now it's gone. So I don't have to worry about that. Just be very cautious because I get schedules and things from students and I see like a gazillion constraints here. And I know they're just picking dates in here. And that's pretty much what everybody that learns scheduling software does until somebody shows them, well, that causes a lot of problems. So try to avoid constraints where possible. All right. So that's that. I think that's more or less where we were at last week. There is a, we can insert a column called, if we type WBS, and that's our work breakdown structure numbering. So this is level 1, this is 1.1, this is 1.2, and then you got 1.21. So it's an automatic numbering system that puts into place the work breakdown structure. Now you can actually customize it by going to this icon under the project tab, work breakdown structure, define code. So you can actually define how you want it to be shown, numbers or letters, or maybe you want to have a project pre-code. So maybe you want to say that, remember there was a numbering for the projects. You could say this is 2105, and you could say B. So I click OK. Project code, code preview. So I code in the code mask table or remove the code prefix. Code preview, yeah. Code mask, okay. Yeah, okay, numbers ordered, yeah. So now you see how this goes first, right? So you could set yourself up with that. So this is 2021. So you know the year this project is in. This is project number 5. It's a bathroom. So maybe you have some sort of, you know, a renovation contractor. You got B for bathroom, K for kitchen, maybe C for cellar, whatever coding system you're using. Then you know the type of project it is. And then it's got the coding after that. So you can customize how you set up the structure for the coding. But that the 2105 would be B would be, say, your job number. And so then if you're buying materials from a supplier, they want a job number, you give them 2105B as an example for the job number. So that's part of showing you how you can sort of put in a numbering system for that coding. So the next thing, I want to put in some resources. I want to create some resources. So this table is done for now. I want to create some resources. So I'm going to slide to the left, and I'm going to go to the resource sheet, slide down to the resource sheet. And maybe I'll make my text just a little bit bigger for you so you can see it. Okay. So on the resource sheet, and you would remember this from last year, I think. So you would have where you want to put the resources that you intend to use, right? And so site super / lead carpenter. You know, in the small jobs like renovation, you don't have a site super that's just watching the bathroom, right? You might have like a person that's kind of a working carpenter that's also supervising the work. It gets pretty expensive if you're on something small like this. Normally you would just have, you know, on our projects that we're doing, like the office remodel, that one, you're going to have a site super, you're going to have a PM, maybe a certain amount of time on it. So there, I've got that. I'm going to say ABC plumbing. I'm going to say State Electric. I'm going to say DEF HVAC. I'm going to say Bernardi building supply. And I'm going to put in brackets drywall, because I want to show a particular one that's measurable as a material type. And then we'll say carpenters. And we'll say maybe glass. Okay, and well, that's a good start. So we've put a few of them in, and I'm going to work is if we want to monitor stuff by the hour. So our lead carpenter or site super, we want to monitor them by the hour. So I would leave that as a rate, and I'm going to put down for them, I'm going to put $70 an hour. Okay, ABC plumbing, I'm going to put down at $80. Actually, I'm not going to keep them as work. I'm going to put them as a cost. They're a subcontractor, and I'm going to get a price from them for this job. Same with State, same with DEF Electric. So I just grab that bottom right corner and I pull it down, and it should work that I can just copy that over. Bernardi Building Supply, I'm going to put them down as a material, and I'm going to do that for drywall. So I'm going to say for the drywall, we're going to get that by the square foot. I wouldn't do that for this smaller job, but just to illustrate it. And I'm going to say that it's 50 cents a square foot. I don't know, that's about 16 bucks a sheet. So carpenters, I'm going to put as work because they work for me. So I'm going to put them down as $60 an hour. And this is the burdened rate I'm putting, like it's what it's costing us for them. So that's counting Canada Pension Plan, that's counting WSIB, you know, that's counting their holiday pay, that's all of those things, what we call the burdened rate. The burdened rate is with everything on it, not just what we're paying them per hour. Canada Glass. So Canada Glass, I want to change. I want to make that a cost. And then I'm going to put Darby Drywall, and I'm going to make that a cost. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make our carpenters, they're skilled and they can do the taping. So we'll keep it at that. All right, so I've got a spread here. Did I put a rate for the carpenters? Yes, I did. 60 bucks, 70 bucks. Okay. So you'll notice that under this heading, right? You have limits to what, like if I didn't make, if under work, I can't type anything in here. The only one I can type in is when I make this a material. And then this only allows me to do certain things as well. I can't put an overtime rate. I can't put a maximum over here, right? So however you assign a particular resource, it's going to limit the information you can put in. So some of you may find that you're doing something and you want to put in a, you want to put in hours of work or something and it won't let you. Well, if it won't let you, then you probably assigned it as a cost instead of work, right? Or if it won't let you it won't calculate the cost of something, well, that's because you've got to put in how much you are using later on. So how you actually enter this as type will restrict you from doing certain inputs later on. So instead of getting all frustrated about it, if something won't let you input, I would always go back to the resource sheet and say, did I make that a work or did I make that a cost, or what's stopping me from doing that? That's probably the first place I would look to rectify it. Now, we'll get into this a lot more later in the course too. As I kind of alluded in our lecture, this is how I put this will determine how it calculates the money going out. So if we're going to do cash flow statements, it's important to put this, that it's sort of similar to how we plan to pay the money out. To be honest, this is such a short project, it's not going to make a huge difference. But the bigger the project gets, the bigger the difference is. Like, I mean, if I have a project that's going to take a month to do, cash flow, it's mostly going to take place in that month. But on the other hand, if I have a project that's going to take a year to do, and I put that if I have this at the start, then that means I'm going to pay the site super for the whole project for their time on day one. And if it's a year long and that site super earns 100,000 in the year, that means here's your 100,000 day one, right? Probably not a good idea. Conversely, if I put this at the end, then, and that site super is there for the whole year, you got to work this whole year. At the very end of a year, here's your 100,000. I doubt that's going to work either. So prorated in that case is the most close to it. I'm going to pay you every 2 weeks. That's the most close to it. So you'd want that in that case like that. Now, probably subcontractors, when we assign the money, you probably do want to have them at the end. right? So what you can do is you can split up the money how you plan to pay them. So like these subs, I could put them all at the end. Maybe Bernardi, well, that's not going to be a big difference because you could probably just have that as a delivery, but let's put it as a start. Carpenters prorated, they work for you, and maybe Canada Glass at the end. That would probably be the best reflection of how the money will go out. You want it to be reasonably close. It's not like exact science, right? Because a lot of people, when they finish the work and it's at the end, yeah, they give you the invoice and then it takes like 30 days before you get paid if you're lucky. But it gives you a good representation of cash flow. You can even assign a special calendar, but only if it's work, not if it's cost. So I could create a custom calendar for my site super that would have their holidays and everything in it, and it wouldn't schedule them during those times if I wanted to. You know, you can get really detailed with it. It depends what you're being asked to do or what your company wants to do. So I've got this information in here at this point. Maybe I want to group it to, maybe I want to say who's an employee and who is a sub and who is a supplier, right? So I could categorize the work by employees, by subs, and like that. The only reason I would probably do that is if I wanted to sort of organize it, because I can go to view and I could group by. So I could organize this and I could group by resource group. Now I've got all my employees together, all my subs and all my suppliers. Later in the course, I'll show you, you can create a resource pool where you use one sheet for numerous projects. That's a possibility too. So you don't have to recreate this every time necessarily. All right. So that's fine. So we've created this resource sheet. So I'm going to slide to the left. I'm going to go to my Gantt chart. I've got my Gantt chart all set up here. And the next thing I'm going to do, like this, what that other table, it did nothing. Like it didn't interfere with anything. It's just a table that's sitting there. And this is another table that's sitting there. And now what I want to do is apply the information from the resource table to this table, and then it can do calculations for me. So I am going to now go to my, you can do this in different ways too. So Dean might have showed you, you could split the screen. So you could go to details and that splits the screen. And, you know, I could click here and I could apply resources this way here. That's one way of doing it. And you can even switch between different screens here. Like there's different details that you can see depending on which one view that you want. Splitting the screen sometimes can be very helpful for other things too. Like I could even down here, well, I'll show you later on, but you can converse different information. Microsoft Project shows you a lot of ways of doing the same thing. So I'm not sure what exactly you saw last year, but that's definitely one of the ways that you can get that information, right? So that's one of the ways that you can get that information. Now, if you go to the task tab, you might have to click up here. All right, so you might have to click up here. If you're down here, it's giving you different information. But if you click up here and you go to the task tab, you should see details again. So you might have to click it twice to get rid of it. So there's clicking it once and twice. So you usually have to click it twice to get rid of it. So now it's not split. The way I usually add resources, you know, it's not right or it's wrong, it's just different, is I usually go to the resource tab and I go assign resources. And this assign resources box comes up. And that's the way I usually use this box to apply them. So like, as an example, On construction, maybe I'm going to assign on construction the site super, lead carpenter to the whole project. Now I could decide it's a bathroom, right? So maybe this site super lead carpenter is going to spend half the time there. We've allocated for 15 days of work for this site super, because maybe it doesn't make sense for them to be there all the time, but maybe they're going to have to pop in, pop out, make sure everything's good with the plumber when they're there. And they have other projects they're looking at, right? Because this is small stuff. So maybe I would go 50% with this, 75%, whatever. So that's kind of a decision that you have to make when you're adding the cost, because it should be reflected to what you budgeted. And the budget, as we talked about in class, is what is coming from the estimate, right? So how much time did we allocate for this? And is this reasonable? And does this make sense? So I'm going to put here 0.5 units. Oops, no, sorry, little time. 50. I'm just going to put 50, and then it'll be all right. 50%. So 50%. So that means 50% of their time is there. So that would be $8,400. That's also where it's helpful, where you have in your mind what this stuff should cost. And if you do something like I just did, like 0.5, and you see 84 bucks, you know, well, that's not right. So that kind of stuff. So that added that particular cost there. So I've got 8,400. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, so that means that that lead carpenter is there all the time. And actually there's one thing I forgot to show you. So I'll go, the nice thing about this box, it stays open. So I'm going to just leave this open. I'm going to slide to the left, right click, and go to the resource sheet. Remember I said half the battle is figuring out what sheet you're in or table you're in. I'm going to the resource sheet. And this number here, where it says maximum, I should have mentioned, is saying how much I have available for something. So if I had 2 carpenters available, I should put 200%. If I have 3 carpenters available, I should put 300%. If I have 10 carpenters available, I should put, 1,000%. So that's why when I said 50% for the site super, well, that just means that they're being used half of their available time. It's one person, so half of them, they'll be there half the time. So I'm going to slide again to the left, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to the Gantt chart. And I'm going to continue to add some different costs here. So I'm going to, for the rip out basement, frame and fur out walls, I'm going to add a carpenter. So I'm just going to add a carpenter, and I'm going to assign them. That's funny. Oh, yeah, I know it. So if I go there, there's the price, and there's the price. All right. This is 1 day, and they're getting paid $60 an hour. So 8-hour day, 6 times 80, $480. 2 days, $960. $960. Okay. So now I'm going to go to rough-in plumbing, and I'm going to put a cost. What am I going to pay the plumber? What have I told the plumber I'm going to pay them, right? And so I'm going to put here, I've said that they'll get paid, the ABC Plumbing, a cost. They're listed as a cost, $5,000 when they finish the rough-in of the plumbing, right? So I said that they would get paid $5,000 when they finish the rough-in of the plumbing. HVAC. Well, what am I going to pay the HVAC sub? So again, All right. I'm going to pay them $2,000 when they get finished. What am I going to pay the electrical sub? The electrical sub, I'm going to pay $2,500 when they get finished. This is just for the rough-in, right? Oops, I didn't take it. Okay, I'll just reassign that 2,500. It's acting a little strange. HVAC we got. Oh, that's why I was over here. That'll do that. All right, rough and electrical. We'll try that again. Rough and electrical, 2,500 and assign. There we go. All right, you got to be careful if you end up over here and you're typing stuff in and you think it's over here, that can confuse it. So you should always check after you put in each one to see that it's actually accepting what you put in. It's like estimating, you miss something that has an impact, okay? So then I would proceed to put all of these costs in throughout how I plan to execute on it. So like install subfloor and substrate. Maybe I'm going to put my carpenters. I want to create a problem here. So I'm going to say 300%. So I'm going to say 300%. So I did 300 and I'm going to assign. So this should create a little bit of a problem. So it doesn't create a problem as far as cost goes, right? So that really should be 6 days of work. 6 times 8 is 48. 48 times 60 should work out to 2880. But you notice this little Martian showed up, right? This little red guy. All right. That means that I've over allocated. I've put more carpenters on this project than I said were available. Because if you recall, on the resource sheet, if I slide to the left, I said there was only 2 available, but I assigned 3. So that's going to flag it for me to say, hey, you said there was 2 available, yet you assigned 3. Are you okay with this? If I'm okay with this, I should change it to, okay, yeah, it's going to be okay. I'm going to hire somebody else, or I'm going to get somebody else on this project, right? If I'm not okay with that, then I should go back and I should say, you know what? If I go back to the Gantt chart and I see this, I should go back here and I should say, you know what? We're only going to apply 2. Now, I think when I do that, this number is going to change. So keep an eye on this. Did it change? I can't remember. Yeah, it meant we went longer, right? So it was at 2 days. Now it's at 3 days. My cost did not change, right? Because I'm still saying it's going to take the same amount of hours to do it. Instead of having 3 people 2 days, I'm going to have 2 people 3 days. So how that automatically changed it is what we call effort-driven scheduling. And that means it's related to the amount of people work hours that you're assigning to it. So in this particular case, I'm not changing the total hours. I'm just changing the amount of people, which is driving a change to the amount of duration that it's going to take. The hours stay the same. 3 people taking 2 days is the same as 2 people taking 3 days in cost. Now, if I'm not happy with that, then I should say, no, I just made a mistake. I originally meant 2 days, 2 people. And if that's what I originally meant, then that's what should show up. So I should change that to 2 days if that's the case. And then if I go back, of course, that's going to be less expensive because now I'm going to only have 2 people 2 days, right? Instead of 2 people 3 days. So that's different as well. So just keep that in mind, that when you adjust things, if you go back to something and you change the units on something, this program is going to adjust it assuming that you want it to be calculated for that. It's kind of like if I had a long ditch to be dug and I said, I'm going to hire Nick to dig this ditch. All right. And it's going to take Nick 2 weeks to dig it. And so then I changed my mind and I say, you know what? I'm going to get Nick and Kevin to dig it. Well, logically, then it shouldn't still take 2 weeks. It should take 1 week. But as we talked about earlier, it also depends on the physical space that has an impact too, because, all right, using that logic, then I could add 2 more people. And instead of it taking a week, it would only take 2.5 days. So now I got 4 people, 2.5 days. Well, if I had another 4 people, so that'd be 8 people, it should only take 1.25 days. So if I double that, 16 people, that should only take 5 hours. If I double that, 32 people, that should only take 2.5 hours. If I double that, 64 people should only take 1.25 hours. That doesn't make sense, right? So you gotta be a little bit careful with that. It makes sense up to a point. It also is something to remember when we talk about cost control. Throwing more people on a project may only make it later because they get in each other's way and it slows things down at a certain point. Definitely it speeds it up, but at a certain point you start to lose efficiency when there is bottlenecks. And we'll talk about bottlenecks in this course too. We'll spend some time in the lecture and in the lab on bottlenecks because that has a huge impact on cost. Does that make sense so far? It's a lot to take in, but I think it, I think over time, with all these little things, they'll come together for you. Okay, good. So I think I'm trying to think now on this assignment. I think I'm almost, I just want to make sure I'm covering everything for you. You'd think it would be open. Nope. Okay. Just want to quickly open up the assignment I had. Just want to make sure I've covered everything. I have a few more things I want to point out that are going on. Lab 1, lab 2, lab 3. 3 instructions. That's the one I want. Okay, I'll get this out of the way. I'll close this. Okay, so I've added those costs. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Okay, so the next thing I just wanted to show you is, well, we've applied some cost. Actually, you know what? Down here, I want to put, like I would have to put costs on all of these elements. I'd have to, meticulously do that. Where's the toilet? There, I want to put that. Toilet and ABC plumbing. I want to add another $4,000 there. Okay. And drywall. Oh, install drywall. So just to show you, install drywall. Maybe I'm going to assign 2 carpenters to that. And maybe I'm going to assign Bernardi Building Supply 400 square feet. So I'm going to press enter. So if I pull this to the side, you'll see it says square feet. Because remember in the resource sheet, we made it 50 cents a square foot. So that's for the drywall. So that's per square foot. I'm only putting that because that's one of the units. And you really only use that one called material for stuff that's quantifiable or measurable. Cubic meters of concrete, square meters of carpet, that sort of thing. So I've got that listed that way. I've got this one listed at 2 carpenters. Okay. So I just wanted to add a few more, but it's not complete, but it's giving you an idea. If I go to the cost, so I'm going to go to the square icon here. and I right click, you'll see cost. So this is the amount of cost that I've applied to this bathroom so far. All right, so this is the amount of cost that I've applied. And I can see how much on each activity I've applied, right? Now, if I add all these up, they won't add up to this because this also includes the site super, because I put the site super on the top item because they're there for the whole project. I don't want to put them on each activity unless they're there, like, because some activities are going to overlap each other, and that would actually count the site super 3 times. That would be a problem. So something like that, that somebody's going to be there for a long period of time, you're probably better to put that cost onto the summary task as opposed to trying to put it on all the individual activities. So something like a management aspect, I would usually do that way. But the individuals, I would tend to do this way, the way I've been doing. So of course, I would have to put in all these other costs, right? That I've got, you know, I budgeted for on this project. I'm not going to be putting in, you know, all the details of the trim. I'm just going to be putting in the labor for the trim, and I may then add at some point somewhere, I may add like a bulk delivery cost that's representing all of the trim materials, that sort of thing. I'm not going to list it out in minutia detail, because if you remember in the lecture, you kind of want quantities. And then if there's variation in a larger quantity, you can sort of dig deeper later on. But as a management of the project level, I just want to have a good sense of when I'm over or under on something that I budgeted for. You can get too detailed. That's why you don't want to have 10,000 different cost codes either. So I'm going to slide to the left. So this is where we can see the cost on the project, what's going on, and we can see how much we've applied in total. If I go to the left, this is very important, and I think a lot of people don't realize this is available in the resource sheet. If I click on the square icon box in the resource sheet and I go cost, it tells me how much I've applied and budgeted for each one. So this is Bernardi Building Supply, $200. This is ABC Plumbing. So I think I assigned 4,000 at the rough-in and 5,000 at the finish, or vice versa. Well, this should add up to their contract. So whatever I've contracted for them, this should total the contract. So I could apply payments to them, you know, in a number of places throughout the project. But I want to make sure that it totals to what I've procured or contracted the work to be, right? I want to make sure that that total is listed for each individual trade. And this is what I budgeted for my own resources on this project, right? It's giving me that valuable information that way. And so now if I slide to the left, I know what those are, and I can double check. And then they should add up to what my total is for the project. Right? And so if I see that there's a discrepancy, like this is, oh, my project budget should be 30,000. What am I missing here? I could start looking here, but I could really also go line by line at the resource sheet and just see, you know, does this match my budget items for these? And if one is missing, then that's where my shortfall is. Later, when we save this as a baseline, we'll have the baseline costs memorized. And then when we have changes in the cost, it will show us the variances. And so that's very helpful for us as well to control the costs. So that's what I wanted to show you today. I think, so I'll just put the, lab assignment 3 up. No. Okay, stop share again.
Yeah, we could see it.
What's that?
We could see it.
Oh, you could?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's just on a different screen. That's why. All right. So I put the lab assignment 3. So I have loaded that on Blackboard. And then you should have a, let me see if I can open that up. File, open. I'll just open this up. I think then, can you see this Microsoft project now?
Yeah.
So then this is your start point file that I loaded up on Blackboard. So I don't think this should not have, oh, it does have it. I didn't think it would have it. So that's the, is that the one I've loaded? I'll double check what I've loaded. Just let me double check what I've loaded in case I loaded the wrong one. Shouldn't have cost. Yeah, doesn't have any costs. Okay. Yeah, it might have, let me see, it might have some of the resources listed. I don't know that it necessarily has all of the resources listed, but let's go here. So your job is to ensure that all of the costs, everything in that resource sheet, it matches this exactly. So it may or may not have some of this done for you, but you got to make sure that all the costs, everything is exact and the types are exact. And this is square foot exact. And this is a crew at is exact. Okay. And then this, your start point file. So you're doing this in the start point file. Your start point file should have the resources listed, right? But what you need to do is then assign these resources and these costs. So if you match exactly the resource assignments to the activities, then you should come up with a specific cost, and it should match what I have as a total cost. So what I'll do is I'll check the cost sheet and see how close you are to it. So the goal is to get as close to it as possible, right? So that's it. So to assign these, of course, you're going to be in the Gantt chart view, and then you're going to, maybe I'll just pull that out. Let's do the stop share. And you're going to be in, yes.
What about the cleanup? You have one worker over. You want it to look like that as well?
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Yep. Make it exactly that. So show the over allocation. So all of these particular items, you're just going to go assign resources, right? And you're going to assign the particular resources, but make sure that the costs are exactly the same, that everything is exactly the same as the sheet. You may be lucky. I may have posted one that already has the costs in it. But I got a suspicion there's some things that are different. So make sure that it's exactly the same as your sheet. Okay. I'll leave it at that for you. Any questions?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes, sure. So under your like your YouTube video links,
Yeah.
your first like for the first lab, it's labeled as like lab 1. So technically this is lab like 3, but it's going to be labeled as lab 2, correct?
This is lab 3.
Yeah, because in like for the last lab we did, like the video, the live video, you labeled it as lab 1.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, so I just want to confirm that.
Yeah, this is lab 3.
This is lab 3. So under when you post
lab 1 was just to post Microsoft project that you got access. Lab 2 was just to do the office schedule. Lab 3 is to do this.
Yeah, so it's labeled for the office schedule. It's labeled as live lab 1. That's just why I just wanted to confirm that this was.
Oh, the YouTube links, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but not the lab that you're submitting.
No, okay. No, I just mean so because when I do the lab, I follow along. So I just want to make sure that this is that like this video will be like labeled under lab. Like,
yeah,
lab.
You know what? Like, and for me, to be honest, I would probably go to those Microsoft project tutorials, and I would probably be looking at tutorial number 4. and you would
Okay.
save yourself a lot of time because you're here, Braden, right? And so you've seen this.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Just when I
and-
do the lab though, it's like if I forget things or I'm kind of confused, I always come back to your like recording and then I can just fast forward to the part.
Yeah,
So,
you can do that too. But if you go to the actual YouTube tutorials that I've got on like adding resources, it's pretty straightforward there too. And actually, the one I add the resources to in the YouTube video is actually sort of the office project, so it's maybe even closer instead of the bathroom. But
okay.
um,
All right.
it's just a hint. You can do it this way too. But yes,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
okay. Whatever works for whatever floats your boat, whatever works, right?
Hey, sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
You see, on your resource names and stuff, you see where it says board one side and then it shows 15,000 square foot?
On this one, yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to assign the resource, but it won't let me put any units. How come it doesn't let me
Okay,
put
so then is where you've got drywall on the resource sheet, is it down as a material? Is it down as square foot?
Oh,
If it's not, then change it.
okay, because I think I was
And-
trying to do it with the Darby drywall, but it makes sense because I don't have material there.
And
right?
that's what I'm glad you brought it up. So anybody that has that problem, first question in your mind is, oh, maybe it's not set as the right type in the resource sheet, or maybe I'm using the wrong resource for that, right? So then you go and you check the resource table and then double check. Or if you're using the wrong one, like drywall, Darby drywall, it's set as a cost. It won't let you put units.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
So
until you get,
where would we put the 15,000? We would put that.
so you would, where is the 15,000? Here, up here. Okay, board first side. All right. So when you assign resources, you would pick drywall supply because that's this one over here.
Mhm.
And then you would type under units, 15,000. You don't have to put square feet. You just
Oh.
put 15,000 and
Oh, you
it
don't
will
have to
put
put
in
square
square
feet?
feet. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I get it now. Thank you.
Okay. And all right. So that's good. And so, yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, but I'll come back in about 15, 20 minutes if anybody has any other questions, and then I'll let you to it. I've got to also put on Blackboard that you can upload it. So maybe I'll do that right now. So I'll hang around here. And if you got a question, you can just ask me the questions on that. And then I'll set up the Lab 3 upload in Blackboard in case any of you get it done quickly. And if I'm here, you know, if you want to ask me questions, if you think you're almost there, I can help you out with that too.
Sir, I have a quick question before you leave.
Yep.
So you know when you're in the Microsoft project software, right?
Yep.
How do you shrink the screen where you enter the task? Because mine is as big on the screen when it doesn't matter how I try, it won't shrink.
What are you trying to, you're in Microsoft project.
Right.
Yeah. And what do you want to do?
So you see how on your screen, the part where you enter your task, it's small and you can see a lot of them. I can only see like 5 or so at a time.
Because they're
But
too
it doesn't
big.
matter how I try shrinking down the screen, it doesn't. Like zooming in, zooming out, it doesn't work.
For this part.
I'm not seeing your screen, sir.
Oh, you're not? Shit. You see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, for this part you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you could go to Format, Textiles, and pick like maybe 10. Click OK. See how it made it smaller?
All right, let me try that real quick.
Textiles. Format.
I mean, it got it the font smaller, but not. I still only see like 7 now. I can't see everything like what
Well, how
you're
big is your screen? That would be my next question.
like. I always used to see it before. I'm using the Windows now, so the Google window. I'm not using the other version. I'm doing it through
The virtual desktop?
yeah, I'm using it through Google instead of the one that you have to turn on the VPN, but now it's just big.
Huh. Now, is at least project taking up your whole screen though? Or is the whole desktop smaller?
No, it feels like the computer that I'm using at the school is probably bigger or something. I don't know. So I was wondering if there's a way to shrink it down.
Can you try sharing your screen?
Oh yeah, for sure. Hold on.
I'll just stop mine. You can share yours.
All right. See?
Yeah, it's like it's Have you tried clicking this little square up here?
Oh yeah, I did that.
You did? How about
Do
this
you have a
one?
mouse, Sanjay?
Yeah, I do.
Because sometimes that happens to me, but if I click down on the scroll, like the scroller, and then like it'll zoom in and out sometimes.
Oh yeah, I tried that. It doesn't work either. That's what I'm saying.
Weird.
Do you have a
What about-
touchpad?
Yeah,
Do you try
about the-
pinching it?
doesn't
the-
work either.
Plus and
That's what I'm
minus.
saying. I don't know. It's weird.
Sanjay,
Sanjay in the right corner.
Go again?
Sorry, you're in the right bottom corner, the plus and minus sign.
Oh yeah, he does do it for
The Gantt chart.
the other part. Yeah, he does do it for that
Oh,
part.
that one, okay.
I don't know. It's weird. That's what I'm saying.
To be honest, I'm having the same problem with Sanjay too. For some reason, the file doesn't let me zoom out of my.
Yeah, he makes it so hard to do the stuff, right?
I don't know why.
you might want to download the remote desktop instead of doing it on web client.
Yeah, but the thing is, why I'm doing it in the web way. For some reason, whenever I go to the one that I download, the screen is just black. I can't see nothing anymore. So I don't know.
Have you done it through the browser? Have you tried it through the browser?
Yeah, this is the browser. This is the browser.
Is it? I don't think it is.
I could even follow you and do I just have to watch the lecture. I didn't write in the bathroom renovation stuff. I just watch and follow. So it's just weird.
Sanjay, you see by your picture by the top right or the top right corner, the three dots,
Yeah.
click that and try to zoom that out there.
Oh yeah. That's just making it smaller. It's not affecting
And now click right and now click the
Click the
go
scroll
back.
box.
and now down in Microsoft Project,
mhm.
down a bit more into the left. Oh, where's your mouse?
Up to the right here.
Okay, yeah, go up to the right a bit.
Top right of that screen, like there.
Yeah,
That's better.
That's somewhat better.
Well, yeah. So if you did that.
oh, Sanjay,
Yo,
you see by your name in that black bar at the top at the right, to the left a little bit, click that arrow.
That's about all you're gonna get. That's it.
yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Let me try.
good
Let me
now.
try. Let me try.
14's pretty big.
All right, yeah, thanks guys. This is better.
No
Yeah,
problem.
and you got 14 is pretty big. Like I would probably have it at like around 12 or something, but yeah. That's good.
Yeah. All right,
That's
thanks
about all
guys.
you're gonna get.
Yeah.
That solved it?
Yeah.
Um,
At first, I could only see up to board one. It's weird.
how about Braden? Was Braden that had trouble with that too? Did you fix it while he was doing his too?
No, I was just trying to help him. Mine's good.
Oh, yours is good. Okay.
So just another question, sir. So, for like all the tutorials, are they just labeled like for each lecture? Like number 4 is resources and cost, and then like next week it would be like tutorial 5. Is that how it's working?
No, those tutorials are sort of standard tutorials I did on how to learn Microsoft Project. So
Okay.
I'll usually, they're just helpful by the headings, right? So if it says resources, that's like, that was today's, right? So this is
Mhm.
week 3 and it just happens to be 4, right? I
Okay,
try
yeah,
not to
'cause-
make the tutorials like 2 hours long, like these labs are sometimes. I try to make them, you know, because people only have so much patience.
yeah, well, that's why I just prefer to like follow your video lecture when I'm doing it because I have 2 computers going, one with like
Well, that's up to you. Like I said, that's
so,
up to you. I'm not forcing you, whatever.
but there actually, so now that I'm looking through it, there actually isn't the lab, like the lab live 2. Like I don't need it. I've finished the lab, but just to let you know, there's only lab, or
I'm a
sorry.
little bit slower with putting up the live labs, just to be honest.
Okay, that's okay. No worries.
Well, if it's there, it's there. But if it's not, it's because I'm a little bit also nervous if I start putting it up before, then I won't get nobody to the live labs, and then they won't bother looking at them, and then they're gonna fail and all these other things.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Not
I just try to
not
get,
the diligent ones like yourself.
yeah, no, I just try to get the labs done like while it's fresh in my memory, but I
Yeah.
like to follow along because you always say little tips and stuff that I kind of missed like throughout right now. So
Yeah, and I will try to get better at that as well. I wish you know what, the one thing that kind of drives me a little bit is you have to render the thing, and it takes like 15 minutes to render, and then it just is a little bit of a time consuming
okay, yeah,
process.
no
So that's
worries.
why I'm a little bit slow at it sometimes.
Yep, no problem. All right, take care.
Okay. Yeah, that's no problem. Like I said, I give you like a week to do the labs, right? So UT, so it's not like you have to do it right in this class. Sometimes people have problems with their technology, like Sanjay or whatever, and so it's not high stress. The main thing is that you do it yourself, you figure it out yourself, and then you're going to learn this stuff. That's the main thing, and then you know you're going to have a good insight to it. Because I'm telling you, out on projects, people my age, they don't like doing this stuff. And people like you that get a job, they like giving you this stuff. And so now all of a sudden you've got value to them. And then plus then you learn the ropes from them on the actual hands-on stuff. And then the combination, you're going to be in a very good position in your career. That's the way I look at this. Like anybody that sort of copies somebody else's file and sends it in and does it themselves, doesn't do it themselves, they kind of, it's really, they're cheating themselves in my view. But there's all kinds of different takes on this stuff, but that's my view. You're really screwing yourself over. And you're paying tuition for nothing, because construction doesn't, the diploma might get you a job, like an interview and that sort of thing. But if you don't put out within about a week, you're gone. Like construction is a very unforgiving business. At least that's been my experience. Oh, okay, cool. Cool. So you got it both ways. So even better, even better. Good for you. Good for you. So you got advantage of experience and you got the advantage now of the technology. Good for you.
Sir, is there a link opened if we completed this lab
Oh
3?
yeah, that's what I was going to do. I just got into conversation. Let me do that
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
Kevin. It'll take me 2 minutes.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so labs, lab assignments, assessments, assignment, lab 3, drop. Posted. Mm, mm. I'm good. Uh, quizzes, love assignments, okay. Edit. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so I think I've got it posted now so that you could drop it off if anybody wants to, just in case. So I think it's there. I think it's there now. Um, knees, is that what the disability is? Probably from kneeling doing concrete. That's a killer all the time, for sure. Or back. Those are the two. All right, so we got everybody working away on it. If somebody's almost there, just let me know how you're, like, what kind of total cost you ended up with, and I'll kind of give you a hint if you're on the right track. Because it is kind of finicky work, adding resources. So you saw me even, I'm doing this bathroom. I like to kind of do it on the fly. So I just created that bathroom as I went, right? Sometimes I have fun with that when I do a lab. I just pick a bathroom, pick a washroom, pick a deck, pick a house. House is too big though for for me to do in a lab, but then you kind of sort of start breaking it down, and hopefully you saw I was thinking about things, what goes where, and what sequencing I want. Well, when you get some experience, then that's what you start thinking about, is really, how do I want to build this project? And it's less about, I got to do this assignment. It's going to be, I got to build this project. What do I got to do next? Does this make sense? Maybe I should have a wait time in there. Maybe I should give myself a little bit of a buffer time wise here. There's a lot of decisions to be made, right?
Sir, if you finish, where do you check, like you said, the final
I'll go to the
cost?
cost. Yeah, Kevin, check the square icon box at the left. Go to the cost table. So if you're in the Gantt chart, go to the top left, the square icon, and go to the
Okay.
cost table.
Cost?
Cost.
And then would it
And
be
then
at the
what's the
top?
total? What's the total on the summary task for cost?
The total cost is 214,000.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to, because that's off a bit. So I'm going to ask you, did you apply? Because this is a mistake a lot of people make. I'm going to say it's easy to fix. Did you apply John Smith to the whole project?
No,
Apply John Smith to the whole project.
John Smith. So I would go back to,
Yeah, and then assign resources, pick John Smith, make sure you're in the office project, and you assign him up here.
go back, sir. Do you right click again and then you go to schedule?
Entry.
Oh, entry. Okay. And then, sorry,
What?
how would you add John Smith to the whole?
Go to the resource tab, go to
Add
assign resources,
Okay.
and pick John Smith.
Oh, and then John Smith, and then it says 39,000 for John Smith.
Right, now click OK.
Okay. And then go back to cost.
Yeah,
Now it says 254,000.
so you're closer. You're a lot closer, but you're still off a little bit. So I would be checking each one of these line items to see how this is working. Laborers, is that showing up as 300%? You know where you can kind of check this easily? You could check that if you pull this and you look at, if you go to the entry screen, you're in the entry screen, and you look at resources. You should be able to see all those numbers there. This isn't the
Okay.
same project, but on yours, you should be able to see them. And then you should look and see, do they all match up? Yes or no?
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. What is the number supposed to be close to?
It's a bit, just a little bit over it's a bit over 260. I'll say it's between
Okay.
260 and 263 in that
Okay.
zone.
As long as we're close, we'll get the marks, right? To do
You're
each
gonna
week.
get, well, I might take a slight touch off, but yeah, you'll get most of it.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
It'll be worth your while. Snowing quite a bit, huh? At least where I am. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it's starting to come down.
So anybody that's okay is free to go. I'm not holding you here. The chair sent around an email. Make sure you don't keep them past the time and give them plenty of time to get to the next class. So I don't want anybody saying I held you here. But I'm okay. I got things I got to do here, so it doesn't matter to me. So if anybody has a question, I'll hang around for a little bit. But nobody's forced to stay here, so don't be late for your next class. Oh, Mr. Stevenson kept us late. I'll get an email from the chair. Not that I care.
Sir,
Yeah.
we're not supposed to add the WBS column, right?
No.
You're just showing us. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right, cool.
Yeah. If you did, it's not a problem, Sanjay. It's good practice, but you don't have to.
Okay, sir.
I just wanted to tie to the lecture that we did yesterday. That's all. And the other reason I think it's good to not, like, if you look at some of the tutorials that I posted links to, is later on when we do like the big project and stuff, you're not gonna be able to remember which lab you looked at or whatever, but you'll be able to figure out, okay, this tutorial will help me, this tutorial will help me. And I think I did, if I remember, I did the tutorials with the office project, so it's directed towards the labs. Hmm. Let's see. Oh, somebody's in the waiting room. So maybe what I'm going to do is, no, that won't convert till later.
Hey, Professor.
Yep.
Hey, I was just wondering, when will you be posting the lab lectures online?
The lab lectures, like today's, you mean?
Yeah.
Uh, Probably not till Thursday. Did you just came in, did you? You missed it?
Oh, no, no, no. My microphone has been not working. It's Adam S. I've been here the whole time. I was just wondering,
Yeah,
like
because
when
like
you'll be
if
posting it.
if I'm a little bit slow to post the live lab lecture, I've got 9 tutorials, okay, that how to use Microsoft Project, and like today's tutorial is tutorial 4. Like the lab class we did today, if you look at tutorial 4, you'll know how to do it, right? In the Microsoft
Okay.
project tutorial. So I've got them listed. And you can click on it. The one that says resources, that's what we did today. And then to say you're foggy on something from maybe last week, I've got like a heading for each one, and that could give you a good direction of which one to look at, right? So we've only done up to tutorials 1, 2, 3, 4. Today was pretty much 4 and a review of the stuff we did last week. So that's probably the quickest way, because actually the tutorial, I do the office project in the tutorial. It's not exactly the same, but it's really close. So that's probably, every bit as helpful, if not more helpful than this one, because this took 2 hours, whereas the tutorial will show you probably in about 35, 40 minutes, right? So, but I will post this. I will definitely post this. It's just, I don't want you to sit around, I got to have the live lecture lab or I can't do this, right? You can.
Oh, no, no, no. It was just for reference, really, in case I, forget something, I want to check up on something
Yeah.
on the assignment.
Yeah.
But just help me out. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll post them, but I think those tutorials, like if I'm you, I'm going with the tutorials. I'm coming to the labs like you did. I'm coming to the labs like you did. But I'm also like, if I want to catch up on something, when I do the major project in a few weeks, I don't want to be trying to think, was that in tutorial? Was that in the lab 4 or the lab 3? Oh, let's look at the headings on these tutorials. That's what I'm after. And then go into that tutorial, be quicker.
Okay. I'll just use the tutorials going forward then.
But no, I will definitely, or give you a link to the live labs. But I'm just trying to save you some time. That's all.
Okay.
So you got a choice.
You
got a choice. You'll have a choice. But yeah, I'm just trying to do, not have you meandering around through, because sometimes in the labs, I find I get into side conversations and different things. And sometimes that might be annoying, right?
Yeah, like trying to like fast forward to the right moment when you said something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then I'll take a look at your tutorials then to make it easier for myself.
Yeah. And so if you're trying to get this one done, really focus in on 4. If it was last week's that you're finishing up before it's due, then 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Professor.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. He dialed in. I haven't figured out how to dial in. That's interesting. That's good. This would save me some trouble. If you guys got another class, don't be late because of me.
I just found another way how to switch to your resource sheet back to your Gantt chart.
Yeah.
It's down to your right,
Oh yeah, you can go down in the bottom here.
right, and just switch between the tabs.
Let's work usage. Worksheet, and there you go. Yeah. Yeah, you'll find that there's like so many ways to do the same thing, Sanjay. So whatever works for you.
All right, sir. Thank you. See you next week.
See you next week.
All right.
Okay, so I'll see everybody next week then. Have a good week.
Have a good week, sir.
Okay, take it easy, guys.